If you happen to live in a country where you feel the need to carry a gun because your country isn't safe, it sounds like you come from a war-torn country, except that's not the case. You live in America. And even the vice president of your country, who is a woman, carries a gun. Because the country that she is a vice president for, that she wants to be the president for, does not feel safe in her own country that she wants to lead. What am I getting at here? I am not here to talk about what you think I'm going to talk about. I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm not here to talk about gun control. I'm not here to talk about who's going to win the American presidential election. Which, by the way, why do they call them presidential debates when it sounds more like a presidential roast? But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about essentially how women have had to become men. How did this happen? What went on? Today I was thinking about Buddhist monks. I have over the years gained a lot from Buddhist teachings, from the Tao. And I was thinking, what if I wanted to be a monk? Could I be a monk if I wanted to? And so, I looked that up. No, you can't be a monk. Women aren't allowed to be monks. Over time, they were allowed to become a nun, but not a monk. In the monastic community, like women were allowed to fully participate, but being a nun was very radical at that time because back then women were not recognized as spiritual leaders, especially not a spiritual leader that was above the authority of a man. And they saw women as inferior. And so there is definitely a misogynistic strain that is found in early Indian Buddhism. But it doesn't mean that the whole of ancient Indian Buddhism is misogynistic. Just like it doesn't mean that the whole of male culture is misogynistic. But if you're a man who is watching this, it takes a lot to recognize if you are and how you can remedy that for yourself, because it's just as harmful as being racist. If you have any tinge of racial attitudes towards any other culture or race, what does that say about your ability to be compassionate and accepting and have a non-judgmental attitude? Or do you see people as there to take advantage of? Those people are lesser than you. You are better than them in some way. They have lesser capabilities than you. So there is this assumption that if you are born a woman, you may have less spiritual capabilities, which is probably why they wanted to burn all the witches. And in most societies, men have been the ones that are the authority figures. Apparently, if a woman wanted to become enlightened and the Buddha, she would need to be reincarnated as a man first to do so. While at the same time, women are the ones who are bringing life to this earth. Because the Dalai Lama spoke at a conference on women in Buddhism at the University of Hamburg in 2007. And he acknowledged, yes, warfare traditionally been carried out by men because, well, men just seem to be more physically capable for that type of behavior. Women, on the other hand, he says, tend to be more caring and more sensitive to others who are in discomfort and pain. Go on out there, men. Go kill each other and get injured. The women will be here to take care of you. So he says here, if the majority of world leaders were women, perhaps there would be less danger and war and more cooperation on the basis of global concern. He says that he sympathizes with feminists because they must not merely shout, they must exert efforts to make positive contributions to society. They must get aggressive, is what he's saying. They must become men. They must become men if they're ever going to come into leadership. He did also say that if a woman revealed herself as more useful, whatever that means, the Lama could very well be reincarnated in this form. The Dalai Lama could be a woman. And then in 2010, he said, yeah, but I also said half jokingly that if the Dalai Lama's reincarnation was female, she must be very attractive. The reason is so that she will have more influence on others. If she is an ugly female, she won't be very effective, will she? Oh boy. Oh boy. No wonder women have such a difficult time being taken seriously. And I will consider myself an attractive woman. I am what is conventionally known as attractive. And has that gotten me advantages in life? Perhaps. But it has also highlighted the prevalence of misogyny that exists. How do you think it would feel hosting a video, saying some very intellectual, wise, philosophical words, and the only comments you get on your video are about your eyes or your appearance? Nothing about the content or the context of what you have conveyed. What would that tell you? Why do I have all these people listening to my words? Why are they all here? Why have they all shown up? Are they interested in what I have to say? Are they genuinely inspired by my words? Or are they distracted by my appearance? My appearance becomes a distraction from my essence, my true essence of wisdom that I'm trying to impart on other people. As someone who is a thinker, who wants to share thoughts with other people as a form of connection. But people cannot see beyond the surface of my female attractive appearance. Kamala Harris would also be considered conventionally attractive, wouldn't she? She was a lawyer. She took on a very masculine role, very powerful role. Taking on the role of vice president is a very masculine role. She has also been conditioned into taking on an aggressive side of managing violence in her country instead of a warm-hearted approach. Some of you might say, but Freya, it's very unsafe out there. You need to carry a gun. No, men carry guns. Women do not do that. But women are at the most risk, are they? Sure, because there is a lot of misogyny that takes place, and men see women as objects for their taking. What is my gun going to do? Just kill off another misogynist? There goes another one, or 100 more follow. Is that really taking care of the problem? No. Personally, I would rather die and allow that person to live with their karma of what they had done to harm me than me retaliating with perhaps excessive force by shooting someone and possibly leading to their mortality, possibly leading to their death. I would rather let fate take its own course of action. But that's just my opinion, and I live in Canada. Is Canada any better? Well, we just have different gun laws here. Does it mean we don't have guns? Of course we do. Does it mean we don't have violence? Of course we do. Does it mean we don't have misogyny and violence against women here? Of course we do. We just hardly have half the population that the United States does. The entire state of Texas comprises the whole population of Canada. Back to the Dalai Lama. Back to just religious figures in general being men. Men certainly do need some warm-hearted kindness. Women innately already have an abundance of this. Yet, we are allowing ourselves to be led by men. We are allowing ourselves to be led by misogynistic men. And what does that do to women? It turns us into men who also hate women. Yes, women can be misogynists too. There are some women who would not consider themselves to be a feminist. They would poo-poo on feminism. Women carry on under the rule of men. Women have had to take on very masculine roles. We have done that. And you know what it does to us? It burns us out. It really does. But how did this come to be? You know, men have just always been more powerful and stronger and fighting the wars, and the women have just been at home to receive them when they come back, to cook and clean for them and care for them in their post-traumatized war states, and then have children and just carry on that role and being invalidated. I don't think women were ever truly appreciated for that role. It was just taken for granted. And did women really appreciate the men and their role of going off and fighting in wars? Well, what has that done? We're still having wars. How's that going? Is that going well? Redefining that being a man doesn't necessarily mean you are inherently aggressive and prone towards fighting in wars. Because is that now outdated? Is that now going against the grain of our evolution of species? And that being a woman doesn't inherently mean that you are soft and gentle and caring and kind and compassionate. Because that only gets us so far as well, doesn't it? That gets us seen as less than. That gets us seen as powerless. But that is actually where the power lies. And so as these candidates are gearing up to take over a very big country in our world, and a lot of people would like to see a female president for the first time in history. That would be great. But please, I just don't, there's still a lot of misogyny that she's going to face. You know, it's very difficult to be a woman in a man's world and in a man's role. You know, are you going to be a president like the other men have been? Or are you going to be a president like the first woman president that anyone has never seen before? And what will that look like? And what will that sound like? And how will people respond to that? But Lauryn Hill, do up that thing. Girlfriend, let me break it down for you again. You know I'm only saying it because I'm truly genuine. Don't be a hard rock when you really are a gem. Baby girl, respect is just a minimum. The second verse is dedicated to the men, more concerned with his rims and his Timbs than his women. Him and his men come in the club like hooligans. Stop pretend the ones that pack pistols by the waist men. Cristal by the case men. Still in their mother's basement. The pretty faced men claiming that they be the big men. Need to take care of their 3 or 4 kids. And they face a court case when the child support's late. Money taking and heartbreaking. Now you wonder why women hate men. The sleepy, silent men, the punk domestic violence men, quick to shoot the C men. Stop acting like boys and be men. How are you going to win when you ain't right within? How are you going to win when you ain't right within? How are you going to win when you ain't right within? That's all.